That's right.
Right, over there. Hello, good evening. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our film night from Edinburgh Skeptics and the British Science Association. Tonight we're going to show a film I have never seen, and this is the first time for me we're showing a film that I've not seen, so I can't tell you anything about it until I've actually seen it. Has anybody actually seen Thank You for Smoking? Good, not many. I like that when people haven't seen it. It gives them kind of fresh. Tonight we have a talk beforehand by David Frank, who's some of you may know as a committee of Edinburgh Skeptics, but he also is a marketing guru, I think we might say, Rob?
10 years in marketing.
10 years in marketing, and tonight he's taking on the persona of a tobacco executive and telling you exactly how cigarette companies get around the increasing difficulties in marketing their product. So I will give you David Frank. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now you might notice I sound a bit funny. I am from Australia, one of the most restrictive advertising environments for tobacco companies, but I am launching a new tobacco company from Australia, and I'm going to share with you some of the ways that tobacco companies have historically and currently get around tobacco advertising bans. If you want, there's a spare seat there, or if you guys want to push up. Anyone else have to sit on the floor?
No, the camera is. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so before I start, can I just quickly get a show of hands? Who here is a former smoker? Who here is a current smoker? 1, 2, 3. And who here has never smoked? Okay. Well, let's see if tonight we can change some of that. Now, before I start, I'd just like to get something over and done with. Hitler and Nazis. So, very frequently, people do like to say that, oh, the Nazis, they were anti-smoking. If you're anti-smoking, basically that's a Nazi policy. And that does get used a lot, and that does get used in pro-smoking arguments and in the propaganda. However, I will concede that it's not quite as simple as it seems, but if you want to squeeze in there, there's a spare seat. There is that old saying that comes from 1995 by Mike Godwin on the Usenet forum. As an online discussion grows longer, the probability of a comparison involving Nazis or Hitler approaches 1. In the case of tobacco, it's pretty much automatic because they were involved, but it wasn't that simple. Now, again, before I start, can I just say that as a tobacco exec, it's a bit of a dangerous position because you have to sit on the floor, unfortunately. There's one there. For example, there's this article from the New York Times where Philip Morris was flayed, which kind of makes me feel like I'm going to war with the Boltons from Game of Thrones. It's a dangerous industry to be in. Now, to be fair, Phil did release a report to the Czech government telling them that smoking can be good for their economy because if people smoke and they die early, they're going to be forking out less for pensions and elderly housing. It's a thing that happened in 2001. But here's the theme of tonight's talk. How do tobacco companies get around advertising bans? Now, the EU banned logos on Formula 1 race cars. So then this mysterious barcode-like symbol appeared on cars. Does anyone, what does it look like? What do you guys think it's alluding to there?
Keyboard.
Yell it out.
Keyboard.
Keyboard? Anyone else?
Bookcase.
Bookcase?
Pack of cigarettes.
Yeah, say that again.
Somebody said Marlboro.
A pack of cigarettes.
Pack of cigarettes? Well, what it was in place of where the Marlboro logo used to be. Now, when that race car is racing around, even if it's got the proper Marlboro logo, you're just going to see a blur. You're going to see the exact same blur if you have this symbol. So this is their way of having basically the same ad, and of course it's an ad for reinforcing. No one's going to light up because they see this for the first time on a race car. So very quickly the EU figured out what it was and they banned that, but for a while it worked. Here's another example. In Minnesota, you weren't allowed to smoke in bars anymore. So one enterprising bar came up with an idea. They turned their bar, legally speaking anyway, into a theatre. And you're allowed to smoke in theatres. So they had this notice up: smoking will take place during the performances. There were no actors, there were no lines, no costumes, and only one prop. By coming to the bar, you are one of the actors, effectively, and they can continue their performance. They exploited that loophole for a full month before the government closed that one. Packaging is a very important part of a product, as is the colour of the packaging and the name. Now here we've got the classic Marlboro Red, and on the right we've got Marlboro Gold. What do you people think is the difference? Like, as a consumer, just look at the colours and stuff.
One's
Yellow.
marketed to men and one's marketed to women.
Say that again louder, please.
One's marketed to men, one's marketed to women.
One is marketed a little bit more to women, correct? Anyone else?
Standard class and premium
The
class.
gold's a higher quality, is what I would say. So it's, yeah, you would think it's...
Say that again, sir?
The apparent size.
The apparent size?
I know exactly what it is, that's my phone.
What is it?
Marlboro Gold are lower in nicotine and tar, and they're aimed at people that want to create a healthy image around them.
Fantastic, Ramit. Now, I will jump to that in a second. But yes, in studies, consumers rated the Marlboro Gold as having lower health risk. And this is more than half. Now, I know what you're thinking, a lot of you. I would never think, oh, that's lower health risk. Well, maybe you're part of the 47%. Or maybe you're a non-smoker or a former smoker. Current smokers have this whole cognitive dissonance thing going on. So they do behave differently and think differently when they see the marketing for these products. If you guys want to just sit on the stairs, that's fine. Now, there is that association, white equals health, and we're going to see a lot more lighter coloured packaging as a result. And yes, Ramit, you were right, women are more likely to go for the gold and the white. They're also more likely to go for light cigarettes and low tar. But as of 2009 in the US, they're not allowed to do that anymore. So, and in 2015 they banned natural and additive free. I kid you not, like they do things like organic or you can get gluten-free anything these days. But I don't want to get distracted. So, smooth. What do you guys think of smooth? Do you have any association with that, do you think? People thought it was less harmful. It was, to be fair, replacing things like the low tar or low nicotine. And yes, people thought that gold was lower health risk. Plain packaging is relatively new to the UK. Newspapers said that the UK was a third country. Australia was they said the UK was the second country. Australia was the first. Actually, the UK was the third, but as long as Australia's number one, I don't care. So, how did we get around plain packaging in Australia? Does anyone know? It made headlines in Australia.
Sue the government.
Say that again?
Sue the government.
Sue the government? They did try to sue the government. Certainly with every government who tried to introduce plain packaging, they try to sue. And we'll go into their arguments in a moment. But what they did was they embossed the packaging. So yes, on those two dimensions, they have no logo, they just have their name and whatever the government says they have to. But they were embossing it, so it's got a 3D feel effect, a bit of a texture. Very quickly again, the government closed that loophole. So they were kind of mocking the cigarette companies. I'm told that in New Zealand people like to ask for the teeth warning ones so they can make their little face. So, plain packaging. But it all did start with warning messages, and the US was one of the, if someone was to sit on the corner there, the US was one of the first, or basically it was the most progressive country when they started introducing warnings on their cigarettes. However, these days they're quite outdated. They haven't updated their warning messages in 31 years. Australia, good to see, were the first to introduce the plain packaging. But does anyone know what's next for packaging? Does anyone know? How we can make it even harder? How you can make it harder for us tobacco companies to make our products more appealing?
Black.
Make it black? Yes, we are going to make them darker. Correct. Anyone else?
Oh, they're using that horrible green colour. They've like figured out that it's the most horrible colour.
There are associations. Certain colours are gross, especially for food. Sorry, we've got a few more people who've come in. Are there any more? Can anyone squeeze up? I mean, I'm really happy more people want to come to this. That's great. Yes, we did market it well, didn't we? Yeah, if you guys want to squeeze in.
Beanbag at the front.
Beanbags for the front, I couldn't agree more. They've just recarpeted it. So, yeah. So they're going to introduce ugly packaging. What I'll do is I'll grab this in the big middle. They're going to introduce these inserts that you can actually take out and take away with you with information on why smoking is bad and resources for you to help yourself quit. And finally, they're going to put the warnings on the cigarettes themselves. So, and nothing's been legislated yet, but personally I think smoking kills is not going to be as effective as I'm a loser or vote for Trump. Of course, the tobacco companies, we did put out some really wonderful reports showing that plain packaging didn't have an effect. But of course, you know, that came from us. You know what, if you want to believe your NHS or your Australian Bureau of Statistics, who said that plain packaging reduces smoking rates, go ahead. But we didn't see a difference. Well, except for actual sales numbers in Australia, which went down by 13.5% from 3.7 billion Australian dollars to 3.2 in the 3-year period between December 2012 and December 2015. So with all these little introductions, we do see reductions in smoking that can be attributed to them. Now, there's a lot on this slide, so you can go to davidfrank.com.au/smoking, and you can download these slides. And we'll also put a link to that on the comment section for the meetup site and on Facebook. Another thing that I can do as a tobacco exec is I can go to the retailers and say, you're my brand ambassador, and I would like to incentivize you for selling my brand of cigarette, or within my family of brands, getting the customers to change their choice or their loyalty to something that is new or perhaps more profitable for me. And I'll make it more profitable for you. So, smokers and former smokers, have you ever had this line, have you tried this other brand of smoking? Does this happen?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Quite often.
Quite often?
I'm in a bar or a club and they'll come up to you with cigarettes. I'm talking internationally, not here
Yep.
in the UK, but they will try and give you a packet of cigarettes and get your friends to smoke them, to try and get you addicted to that brand.
First one's always free.
Yeah.
Okay, another thing that they'll do is, again, tell me if they've done this. They might lie and say, oh, we're out of that product right now. Have you tried this other brand of cigarette? I don't know how much this happens, but there was an interesting Ask Me Anything thread on reddit.com with a tobacco company employee where they revealed some of these secrets. Very, very interestingly, on the USS Teddy Roosevelt, the captain banned the sale of cigarettes in 1993. By 1994, we had Congress pass a law to force the ability to sell cigarettes on every ship in the US Navy. And we said it was a personal freedom and a right. That's how good our lobbyists are. Unfortunately, in 2010, smoking was banned in submarines. So no longer can you share the pleasures of secondhand smoke with your crewmates. So who's a member of a loyalty club, Tesco, frequent flyer, something like that? We used to have that for Marlborough. Now, it was originally launched in the 90s under Marlborough Adventure Team, and isn't that positive? Adventure Team. You can get your backpacks and your darts and all sorts of other things. Now, don't worry, people, members of the public. You had to be 18 years old plus in order to order the brochure. So at least we're doing that. You have to have a government issued ID to get the brochure. However, there was nothing stopping. Well. Anyway, so we're not allowed to have logos on our merchandise anymore as of the 1998 Masters settlement in America. Now that was only binding for the tobacco companies involved in that settlement. They were the big tobacco companies. Smaller tobacco companies can brand their merchandise and their freebies. That's So what we did, we're not allowed to brand our stuff, so you could get all sorts of little and big stuff still. And for example, on the right, you've got a Zippo lighter, and you create your own logo and we'll put it on there for you. But to paraphrase Henry Ford, you can have it any color you want as long as it's Marlboro red. Interestingly, it kind of backfired on Marlboro. So many people got together to buy the big ticket items. Sorry, did I put the sales figures on this? I did. $200 million. I put all the zeros there just to show. 135 million items were shipped. Most of them were obviously small ticket items, as we can see here, but people were banding together. For example, whole bars, of loyal customers were pulling together their proofs of purchase to get a pool table for their bar. Here we've got an example of the Marlboro kayak, and they very quickly went, and we thought, okay, people are getting these too much. How do we stop that? So what we did, and this is just a general insidious marketing trick, so genius. We said, okay, you can't use last year's promotion. We're renaming it from Marlboro Adventure Team to Marlboro Miles. Marlboro Miles, and that's quite reminiscent of frequent flying, isn't it? And you can't use last year's proofs of purchase. You can't mix them. You have to start from zero again. And yeah, a lot of customers were quite annoyed with that, but we were no longer obligated to give away the big ticket items. Good money saver there. There's nothing stopping us from marketing to you when you travel. We are very well aware of this. For example, in Germany, we can have these big billboards, and we know that you travel. So we take advantage of that there. Now I'm going to finish on what I consider to be a high note. This is, so proud of this one. We're sponsoring, as an industry, 100 elementary schools. These are kids younger than 10. Now, obviously, we've got Marlboro on the school uniforms. Can I just see, what would you guys do if you were sponsoring a school and you were a tobacco company? What would you do? You can be as evil as you like.
Make all the pencils like cigarettes.
Make all the pencils look like cigarettes. Excuse me. Continue.
Cigarette vending machines in the corridors without requirement for any ID stuff. If possible.
We're almost there.
Cigarette-shaped
Sweets.
lollies.
Sweets, correct. What
Candy
else?
cigarettes.
Sorry?
Candy cigarettes.
Candy cigarettes, yes, absolutely. I grew up with them, did you?
Yeah.
Well, firstly, we've got the signage in the schools. For example, it's cut off in this slide, but tobacco nurtures talent. It's in their school quadrangles. An actual sign from a school in China. Talent comes from hard work, tobacco helps you become talented. And yes, you've got the candy cigarettes, which they sell at the stall just outside the school gates along with the actual cigarettes. How much does a pack of cigarettes cost in this country? £10?
20p.
Over there, you're almost right. It's not 20p, it's 57p. 57p for a pack of cigarettes. So what we've got basically is the 4 Ps of marketing. If anyone's done any sort of marketing, you will have heard of the 4 Ps. Does anyone? Product, we've got a very addictive product. Price, we've got 57p, that's within the price range of kids under 10. Place, in their schools, just outside their schools, and promotion. So, on that marvelous note, I invite you to enjoy the movie. Thank You for Smoking. It's one of my favorites. Aaron Eckhart does a fantastic job. If you would like to download the slides, I will put the link to it in the Facebook event comments and the meetup.com event comments. We've got some flyers in front of you where you can fill out some feedback. I've got some spare ballpoint pens if you'd like. We'd appreciate it. We can find out if I'm any good at this. And finally, whatever you do, don't visit canstopsmoking.com. Don't Google how can I stop smoking. Don't ask your GP for advice because he might be effective. At the end, are we collecting donations?
I'll do that at the end.
Okay, no worries. Well, we're going to jump straight into the movie. I'll hand over to Sean.
I was going to say, has anybody got any Q&As? Thank you so much, David. Thank you. Well, that was really, really interesting talk. Thank you. I learned so much about it. I'm sure I did too. Has anybody got any questions or any points you want to raise?
How do you sleep at night?
Very well, I think. Yeah.
In my money! No.